All right, welcome everyone to City Council meeting for Monday, January 27th, 2025. We have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Steve Holofield.
Here.
Terry McClung.
Here. David
Avanzino.
Here.
Susan Gruning.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here. I have to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Any additions, corrections? The only thing I have, there's two corrections, two items rather. Under new business, item 1, it says resolution to approve the 2024 budget. It should be 2025. And the other item is, I'll just take that up when we get to 5 Ridgeway. So,
Mayor, can I add to the agenda at this
Beg your
time?
pardon?
May I add to the agenda at this
Sure.
time?
Yep.
Discussion about the tree ordinance.
okay. Anyone else? Hearing nothing, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve we can do this as a consent agenda and approve the minutes unless somebody has something with comments on December 9th, January 7th, or January 13th. We can make a motion to approve all those at one time.
Motion to approve them all at one time.
Second.
Is there any discussion, comments? All right, all in favor of approving December 9th, January 7th, and January 13th minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. We've got Ferguson Stewart. Application on the Planning Commission has expired, so we need to renew his position. He already serves on the Planning Commission, so
I'd like to make a motion we approve Ferguson Stewart.
Second.
all right, any discussion?
Were there any other applications submitted for that position?
No.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, in your packet, you should have the CAPC fourth quarter report. And also, you'll have a application from Vivian Smith from the Hospital Commission. So you look that over and give her a call. And at this time, we'd have a report from Sandy Martin, Chairperson of the Hospital Commission.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the opportunity to address the council and the public today. We've provided a status report for you in your council packets. The report lists services, staffing, transfer requirements for our Rural Emergency Hospital designation, REH. Eureka Springs Hospital meets all of these requirements. In collaboration with our consultant, the Rural Hospital Redesign Center, we have completed a health equity and service needs study. The hospital is also conducting a community outreach and assessment study to help identify other outpatient and medical services needed for our community. This will be an ongoing project that we'll undertake. At our last commission meeting, we approved a telehealth partnership with the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences, College of Medicine, and the Institute for Digital Health Innovation. Over the next couple of months, we will be working with UAMS IDHI to develop and implement our telehealth plan. Built into that plan is a comprehensive community outreach and education project in collaboration with UAMS and IDHI. This will greatly increase access to quality health care and wellness and help us break down barriers to medical services. Over the past year, we've made significant upgrades at the hospital to improve operations, safety, and security. We converted our electronic health record software from MedHost to Oracle Cerner, which was a major undertaking. We've installed an automated pharmacy medication dispensing system, Pyxis MedStation, to ensure secure medication storage and electronic tracking of narcotics and other medications. We now have a healthcare and HIPAA specialist IT company, Pinnacle IT, with over 33 years experience handling 24/7, 365 tech support on site and virtual. We have implemented cyber and data security systems and protocols as well. One of the many false allegations stated during recent public comments was that the hospital had no clinical staff. This is not true and never has been true. In your packets, you have bios on 4 recent hires, including Lana Mills, Director of Nursing and Clinical Services. Lana is working closely now with the medical staff and Chief Gary Inman and EMS crew. She has EMS experience. April German, Laboratory Manager, is doing a great job in the lab and working on infection control. RN Velvet Schultz, who also has a master's in healthcare administration, and Dr. Gina Dobrina, MD, pathologist, and associate professor at the UMS Department of Pathology. Dr. Dobrina is working on having the lab open for the blood bank no later than the 31st, but probably sooner this week. These are all highly qualified and dedicated healthcare professionals now working as a solid collaborative team with the CEO, CFO, medical director, medical staff, and the rest of the staff. Another false statement that was made was that we hired someone who was fired from their last job. Again, not true. Another false statement made was that the commission did not have any medical hospital or management experience represented. Again, not true. The commission has a doctor, RN, LPN, that have all worked in hospital, clinical, emergency, outpatient, and our academic environments. It is rounded out with financial management, marketing, and business professionals. We've also established commission liaisons for medical, clinical, financial, facility maintenance, and the QAIP, which is the quality improvement plan, policies and procedures compliance. Yet another false statement made several times is that the commission has rejected Dr. House's proposal. Absolutely not true. We have stated publicly in commission meetings and directly to Dr. House that we have that on hold pending the state determination. After that determination, we will have a workshop with him, and we've told him that, to discuss his proposal. We also will advertise the permanent CEO position and interview for those who have applied after the state determination. You also have a timeline in your packet showing conversions and key events from January 2024 to March 2025. It was a busy and challenging year of change. The REH designation required realignment of staff, with some positions being eliminated. The staff was notified of these changes in mid-April by the former CEO. Some of the staff handled the changes very well, while others obviously did not. Many of the staff did their jobs and did them well. Others did not do their job. You'll notice 2 state surveys. One occurred in May 2024. It was short, corrections needed by the previous CNO and medical staff. The plan of correction was accepted in July. The next survey started in November, and it was 53 pages long. Starting in August, the commission began internal investigations looking into issues and the staff complaints that led up to a rebellion and a threat of mass walkout. While I cannot disclose details, the state survey was not a total surprise. Certain personnel and management were clearly not doing their jobs, and they were putting the hospital in jeopardy and under additional strain. When the survey was being conducted, we requested the mayor contact the lawyer to do an independent investigation reporting to him, not the commission, to identify how we got from May, relatively clean, to November with so many issues with the same staff and management in place. The commission has continued to do our internal investigation and documentation while the interim CEO, CFO, CNO, lab manager, and other department heads worked on the plan of correction. The state accepted parts of our plan of correction but wanted more detail on parts of it. That plan of correction was submitted to them on January 13th. On January 21st, we received a letter requesting 4 revisions, mostly clerical, The revised plan of correction was sent to the state January 24th. Today, we got confirmation that they received it and will be calling us with any questions. Financially, that's another thing that people have been saying, that the hospital is bleeding money. It was. It is no longer. As of the 12/31/24 year-end income statement, net revenue for 2024 was $8,498,209, compared to 2023, $8,289,255, for a $2 million gain. The net expenses in 2024 were $6,781,122, compared to $8,334,670 in 2023, leaving a net operating margin for 2024 of $1,717,087 versus 2023, which was a deficit of $45,000. The bank balance as of 12/31 was $7,539,194.
What's the date on that?
That was 12/31, year-end financials. To wrap up, I have total confidence in and respect for every commissioner currently serving. And speaking on behalf of the commission, we have total confidence, appreciation, and respect for each of our current employees, including Jody Edmondson and Cynthia Asbury. Did we make mistakes? Yes, and we own up to them. None were intentional nor malicious. However, reputations were damaged, and that's a crying shame. I'm not here to defend or accuse, just to provide facts and as much information as I can under the current circumstances and restraints. Also attached is a 2025 calendar of commission and workshop meetings, and we encourage you to attend, and we appreciate Mr. Holefeld. He is always on our commission meeting YouTube spots. Thank you for your time.
Questions? Yes,
have a
Mr.
question.
Avanzino?
Ms. Martin, thank you for being here, number one. I like the presentation that you've given us, everything that seems to be moving forward. One of the things that I'm disappointed in that's not being addressed by the staff, and please forgive my voice, it's this damn thing, is that dozens and dozens of phone calls, and emails, and letters to all of us about a hostile work environment. What is being done to address those accusations?
We are working internally. That's part of our investigation that we're doing. We're working internally on that. We've been up to our ears with the state survey, so that's been kind of difficult, but we are addressing the issue, and we're planning on having more in-house trainings and addressing more needs and listening more carefully.
And my second question, in one of our meetings, Kent Turner was asked to resign, and he hasn't stepped down because the mayor asked him to stay on until after, this is what I believe, until after all the investigations were complete. Is that true? Okay. So I just wanted people to understand that I do believe he is going to step down, correct?
I can't answer.
Well, he's actually resigned. He did resign.
Yeah, can't answer that. His term expires in September of this year anyway.
No, I believe he resigned at one of our meetings, and the mayor asked him to stay on until after the investigation was complete.
He didn't resign, he offered his resignation.
Isn't that the same thing?
He said, "I will resign."
He
He
offered
did.
his resignation.
I think he did. No, I think he said he was, I thought he even said he already resigned.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
My understanding was he offered his resignation.
It's,
At this
it's,
point, I said he was, I'd like for him to stay on until we get this resolved.
I'm sorry. He said from right there, "I will resign." I was the one that asked him the question, and he said, "I will resign."
But we don't need to get into a debate on this right now, so your point, Mr.
All right.
Avanzino.
Okay, so, John.
Mr. McClung?
Couple of things. So we're sitting on, you said a little over 7 million in the bank currently,
Yes.
okay? And tell me again the state determination that what the state is doing right now with, they're doing the investigation, is that correct? Is that
It's
what-
a survey that they come in to see if we're in compliance with CMS Medicare. And that was the one that started in November was 53 pages long. So we had a lot to go through with it. And we've submitted plans of correction. They've accepted part of it, eliminated a lot that was involved in it as we go along. So we're down to like a core group of things that they're reviewing now.
Okay, so that's, and you expect the results of that when?
Hopefully this week.
And that will determine whether or not we're in compliance with their guidelines. Is there jeopardy of losing our standing?
There's always jeopardy, and that's the rumor that's going around, that we're going to close any second now. But we're working closely with the state and complying with all of their requests. Like I said, this last plan of correction that was reduced from the original one, they asked us to modify 4 different areas that were basically clerical, and we submitted that, and they're reviewing it now.
Do they come out and investigate the plant itself?
Yeah, oh yeah. They were here for a better part of a week, and they will probably come back again, yes.
And are they as a comparable like the health department, and come in and look in all the
Yeah.
corners and the cubby holes and the closets and everything, and
That they did.
so they're going through all of it. That's my biggest concern, is that all the problems that we're having with the past staffing and everything we're going through right now, that's why we're here,
Right.
that because of the condition of the plant, the age of the plant and all, that, the functional obsolescence of it is, to me, we're on a teeter-totter there.
Well, we struggle with that. That's our concern as well. But we try to invest in the infrastructure as often as we can. But a lot of these issues were other than that. There were things with expired food in the dietary, for example, and all that. But that's
I
that's the main
understand
concern.
that, but if the plant is not functional, then you have no facility. And
Right.
that's my biggest concern, is that the state's going to come in at one of these days and say, well, it's just, it's outlived its usefulness. So just plain and simple.
We're aware of that, and we're concerned about it too. And we want to earmark some funding for that.
And I'm glad to hear that there's money in the bank,
Yeah.
and I'm certainly interested in this report that's to come from them. You think maybe by the end of the week? Is that correct?
We hope so.
Mr. Myers?
22 people have left their jobs at the hospital since April. Some that's 16, 10, 5 years experience, and the people connected with the dietary stuff, all of them left. So of course there's going to be outdated food because there was nobody there to look at the outdated food. Why have all these people left? What has happened? What has caused this problem?
Part of it, as I mentioned in my report, was that the REH model didn't require dietary, for example, a full kitchen.
Wait, hold on, please. Don't. Go ahead.
Okay, if that's true, then we don't need any food. Right?
No, we have to have food. We are now doing it with frozen foods prepared for special diets. We didn't need those. We didn't need the support staff for the inpatient services. So there was reduction, and the staff was told that in mid-April.
The lab director, there's nobody in the lab. The radiology director, 16 years. Why? Why did they leave?
I'm not going to get into personnel issues.
Well, this is a huge thing. Personnel is what makes the hospital. It is.
And we've got a good lab director. And
How many times has blood products been carried to Berryville by commissioners? How many times?
twice that I know of, and that's it. We're not doing that anymore.
There's a lab working right now?
Yes.
24 hours a day?
Yes.
So our ambulances are coming back to the hospital?
Yes.
You sure?
Pretty sure.
Somehow I doubt that. I'm sorry.
Mr. McClung, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Mr. Holyfield?
So the Dr. House group plan, that's not been turned down? It's
No,
still-
absolutely not.
It's just in the waiting till all the certifications get all done?
It's moot until we know what the state's going to.
You think you'll address that in a workshop at some point?
Absolutely, yes. And we've told Dr. House that.
And do you have a date on that workshop? Is it
We don't, but it would be probably one in February, no later than March.
February? Maybe
Probably.
3rd or March, February 3rd or March 3rd?
Right. And depending on how we proceed, we may have more workshops.
Okay.
Mr. McClung?
Is the hospital fully staffed now? Fully staffed?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much is.
Who's
Under
missing?
The REH. Yes,
It is fully staffed.
yes.
We have a respiratory therapist now, or is that not included in REH?
I have to double check that one. That one I don't know for sure. We did.
How much of the staff is contract staff right now?
Our emergency room services is contract, and that's it. Right now.
How many people is that?
I don't know off the top of my head, Harry, but I can find all that out. If you want to give me your questions, email them to me, and I'll give you all the information you need.
I'm just having a hard time with all these contradictions and the fact that, did you know that a woman went to the emergency room having seizures, epileptic seizures, something that I suffer from, and she was sent home and told to find Jesus?
No.
These are the kind of stories that go around our hospital. And I know this woman very well. She didn't lie.
Yes. Ms. Green?
So kind of like Harry, we're hearing a lot of contradictions. It sounds like you have a good plan in place to move forward. When you talk about the staff knew in April that there was going to be downsizing, basically, are some of the ones here today, were they part of that downsizing? Because I'm hearing a lot of people were let go, and not necessarily because of downsizing, but fired.
Well, there
And-
were some that were fired, but let go, downsizing, I'm not really sure.
Okay, so when you downsize, people usually know, and I come from a manufacturing background, so when we know that the economy's turned and there will be layoffs, basically, or maybe through, and maybe they won't come back, maybe they will, but they know about it. There's a difference between,
Right.
yeah,
Laying off,
do you see
yeah.
where I'm going?
Yeah.
So
There were positions
we have a
that-
whole group of people behind you, and I'm just wondering if any of them were let go, or were they part of the people that signed a letter, and then if any of those people were part of the downsizing, or are these part of the group that were let go or fired because, I'm not saying because they signed a letter, but there's perception that there's retaliation, or, and there's some that are in fear of, there's a lot of, and I know you don't work there, Sandy, but with Cynthia and Jody, that they micromanage, that they watch people on video, they listen to them through the what do you call them, cameras at the hospital. And so, you know, perception is everything. We don't like that. We don't like to think it is, but it truly is. And right now, the perception of the hospital and to work there isn't very well to bring in qualified workers. And so it's a concern. that I feel we are so far from anywhere that this hospital is a necessity for us. The current doctors that come in on a contracting basis, ESS, I looked them up, they have horrible ratings. 2 stars out of 15, 1 star out of 5, 2 out of 13. That, again, when you read those reviews, please, if we can stay quiet back there, they have horrible reviews, which, again, it's kind of like, I want a hospital that we have qualified doctors in that aren't sent home with a seizure. I hadn't heard that one. I'm told that right now, if you're on blood thinners, if you don't know your meds, if you have abdominal or pelvic or chest wall issues, you're diverted to another hospital. And Dr. Bell isn't doing colonoscopies anymore there because he doesn't have the help, and maybe that's changing. Maybe now that you have your employees in order. I know I'm saying a lot, and you're probably like wanting to say a lot back.
No, it's okay. Because,
Speak in the microphone, please.
I'm sorry?
In the microphone, please.
Okay,
speak.
sorry. There's a lot of rumors swirling that are not true, confusing,
Yes.
maybe partially true, who knows. The REH model eliminated inpatient care. We're basically now an emergency room.
Okay.
We cannot keep patients over 24 hours, typically with it, except for in extreme cases of observation. We then have to transfer them to other hospitals.
And when did that start exactly? When was
Which
that
part?
implemented?
We got our
rural hospital?
designation approved in December, and it was effective January 1st.
So it just started?
Yes,
Okay.
2024.
Oh.
So we've been operating like that,
For a
since
year?
then. So that's the REH model, that they do have to be transferred to other facilities. We're required to have transfer agreements with acute care hospitals. We have 2. We're only required to have 1. We've got it with Mercy in Springdale and Bentonville, and we've got it with Mercy in Springfield and UAMS in Bentonville and Springdale. They're not sent to another hospital arbitrarily.
No, it's not that they're sent. The ambulance won't even bring them there.
Repeat that, I'm not following you.
So if the ambulance picks up somebody that says, I'm having abdominal issues, or I was in an accident, and maybe my pelvic area was broke or appears to be, if somebody's on blood thinners, that the fire chief and I don't know if any of them are here, or the
EMS.
ambulance drivers are told to take them to a different hospital because it's not something that Eureka is equipped to do. And I'm
No,
thinking half of Eureka's on blood thinners.
They should, depending on the situation, they should come to our
Okay.
emergency room in our
Okay.
hospital.
Well, then thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
So to me, again, the perception is the management team should break down barriers for all employees to do their work and not be and this is what's coming to us, and I think most of us at the council can agree, of course I'm speaking for everybody, but they feel like they're in a gotcha environment instead of a teaching, let us help you be a successful employee. I'm not there, so I can't say. I'm just letting you know what's coming to us. And some of these workers are still there and some are not.
Again, if I can address, please appreciate the changes that the hospital went through last year. First thing was converting from our medical records from MedHost to Oracle Cerner when Oracle Cerner was going through their own merger was humongous. There were a lot of changes and there were a lot of different protocols and systems put in place, a lot of issues with technology, very frustrating for everybody. All the way
Oracle
from the
is,
top
yes.
down. Very frustrating. Then the REH. So yes, there were disgruntled employees. There were employees that were confused, because of the different protocols and systems. The REH model itself is new. The state's still coming out with different policies and protocols to follow on that as they grow the model. And yes, it turned into a highly toxic working environment, and everybody contributed to it. And we need to address that. We need to get through the state first. We, the people, there are people that were fired, there are people that left voluntarily. They were upset for whatever reason. We are fully aware of the perception. We hate the perception. We hate the rumors going around and the misstatements and the confusion and the allegations and the accusations. It's not helping anything. We need our hospital. We're coming up on tourist season, and we're working very hard to make sure it's a working hospital that this community can be proud of. Sorry we lost some employees, but
Do you know how many you did lose?
I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head. But I can get that information if you want it.
22.
Go ahead, Mr. Avanzino.
Yeah, so I just want to say two things. I admire that you stepped up into this position in light of what the commission is going through. We get it. We've been there. But I also want the public to know that, we do read all of the emails. We try to take all the phone calls. But with that being said, we're very limited at what we can do for you. Our job as a city council, when it comes to this commission in particular, is the only power that we have is to remove commissioners. We can ask for their resignations. And if I'm incorrect, Forrest, that's correct information, right?
The council has the ability to remove commissioners.
That's all we can do.
That's it.
Okay.
No.
So I just want to let everybody be clear on the fact that, if you wanted us to come in and take over the hospital, we cannot do that. As much as some of us would probably like to do, we cannot do it. So I just want y'all to know that.
Mr. McClung?
I believe we also have the capability to close it. That is another
I didn't see that.
thing
I read.
that I think we can make the decision to do that. I would like
We
to
own it.
see a financial on the hospital, be made available. I don't know if it's already available to us, Mayor, or not, but
We haven't received one yet, but we do get them on a quarterly basis, I believe, yes.
I'll make sure you
So we
get
can
it.
get
yeah,
one.
I would like to have it, and if you've got a
No
year in,
problem.
and you may not have that yet,
I
but it
don't
sounds
have
like
it
you're
with
getting,
me. Oh,
yeah, I know you
no.
don't have it with you, not that, I understand, that's fine.
Absolutely.
We get it to the mayor, and he can distribute it to us.
And I can give you our budget for this year as well. We finally have a budget. The hospital is operating without a budget. We now have one that's break even for $7.9 million this year.
On a personal note, in December, I had the occasion to have to use an ambulance personally, and because of everything that's been going on, I went to Berryville, and my family has used that hospital in Eureka Springs. Well, one of my kids was born there. He was one of the last to be born there, and we've all been there.
Yeah.
From my parents on down, and I asked the ambulance to take me someplace else.
Well,
So it's a big obstacle to overcome with the community at large right now, I think, because of that fear of not getting the service that we feel we should be getting. So I would certainly like to keep it open. But the plant is my biggest concern. If it can't be staffed and operated the way it needs to be, then, I hate to be the one to suggest it, but, I'm not afraid to shut it down if that's what we have to do.
Appreciate your concerns, and we want you back, and we're going to work hard to do that. We're all committed to do that, get it back and going.
I hope so.
Mr. Myers?
All these people left, and you say it was a hostile environment, and what aggravates a hostile environment are the people at the top, the CEO, the CNO, those are the people that can calm folks down. And evidently, they didn't do a very good job because 22 people left. Now, it could be their positions were eliminated. Did we eliminate the pharmacy?
No?
Okay. And since we are switching to the rural emergency hospital, why?
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 The hospital was bleeding money. It was unsustainable. It's very, very, very expensive to keep inpatient services going, and those services weren't being utilized very well. The REH model is designed by legislature to save rural hospitals so they don't close because they're critical, just like this hospital is critical. And
It is.
it's a good plan.
How much money was spent on plans for a new hospital? Because I hear there was a lot of money. I don't know.
I don't have that at the top of my head, but I can get it
Yeah,
for you. But
we'd
we
like
did
to
have plans for a new hospital, and the budget, we were looking for $35 to $45 million, and that was very hard to come by. So that was probably not going to happen.
I want to read out of the state law, and it's incorporated in our code too, that the commissioners shall have the full and complete authority to manage, operate, and maintain the municipal hospital. Commissioners shall have the right to employ or remove managers and all other employees of whatsoever nature, kind, or character, and to fix, regulate, and pay their salary, wages, or other compensation, since it's the intention of this chapter to vest in the commissioners the authority to operate, manage, maintain, and control the municipal hospital, and to have full and complete charge of it. The commissioners shall have the exclusive right and power to make purchases of all supplies, apparatus, and other property and things required and necessary for the management and operation of the hospital. There's some other parts in here too, talking about leasing the hospital and other things that we've discussed, but the commission is authorized by the state to manage the hospital. So, we appreciate what you're doing. I know it's a difficult time, and I think there's been some things said today and in the past. What we're trying to do, and I think we all agree that we want the hospital to stay. It's been here for a long time. I'm prejudiced. I was born in that hospital. Had a lot of family go through that hospital, and I think most of our city wants the hospital here, and that's one of the reasons we went to this rural emergency hospital. If the hospital, when we looked at building a new hospital, there's a new regulations that you can't build within 12 miles of another hospital, and so that pretty much eliminated us building a new hospital. We thought at one time, with Mr. Turner's connections with the state or federal legislatures, Senator Bozeman, and that we might be able to get some of the federal money to build a new hospital. It looked positive. And he went up to Washington, D.C. to check into that, and it was possible. And even with the governor, trying to get some money from her to add, another $7 million for the hospital, which is a minimum of what it would take to do the additions and what they did. Yeah, there was architectural fees spent, but I think they were probably a positive aspect. It gave us a concept of where we can go and what we can do if we can find the money for that. But the problem right now is trying to raise the perception, as has been noted, and getting the leadership back into a place where the hospitals and the employees are respected and want to work there. And I certainly think we all are concerned about that concept and that negative aspect that we're hearing about the hospital. None of us like that, and I think we want to see what we can do to make it positive. And I know I've talked to the attorney of the hospital, and we were talking about him coming in and doing an audit, an internal audit, and he recommended that we wait until we get through with the state because there's no sense in coming back and finding items that the state may have missed or not done, and let's do this first and see what the state does, and then they'll come back. He will go through and help the hospital establish the process and procedures. That's anything that we need to do. He also said that the hospital, the state seems pleased with the communication between the commission and the staff at the hospital right now with Jody and the lab director. So he felt that they were doing a good job responding and communicating and coming up with the answers to the audits that they had. So, and I think as Ms. Martin said, I think probably within the next couple of weeks, we should hopefully have the final results from the state. And then when that happens, then the attorney can come in and start doing his audit too, an investigation. So the main thing is trying to get rid of getting rid of the hostile environment. Nobody likes that. The city hall has done that several years ago. We had that. We went through, Mr. Meyer talks about 20 employees. The city hall went through 50 employees in 4 years. So it's hostile is bad, and it doesn't help to create a good environment. So we all want that, I think. And I think we're on that track. So anyway, Ms. Gruening?
So if we have a couple more weeks for the Medicare audit to complete, do you think maybe by February 24th, we can have this lawyer come in and kind of give us his spiel?
I'm not sure when we'll get the report back. And it's not Medicare, it's just from the state. It's the state health department.
Okay.
It's my understanding. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the state, they call them surveys.
Right, I
That's
know what they are. I worked in the hospital.
That's what the state's going through. That's what we're waiting for, their determination that we should hopefully hear this week. The investigation that the mayor is talking about is with an attorney going through, helping us determine what went wrong, what we need to do to improve things as far as the policies and procedures and requirements for CMS in the state. That's part of the state survey.
Right, and so it was the second part with the attorney that I was hoping to get some feedback from. I think part of the issues could have been maybe training to start with employees, because,
We had quite a bit of training.
I'm sorry,
We had quite a bit of training going in.
recently
But,
or all
it's
along?
ongoing. We had to go through extensive training with Cerner. Everybody was learning on the REH model as we went through it. There are, videos of training sessions
Okay.
on the systems. They're going through training right now on the Pyxis Med Station. That's new. And that will go live early in February. So there's ongoing training that's going on, depending on what it is.
Okay. So the Medicare part is, there's light at the end of the tunnel. That should be wrapping up.
We hope so.
You hope, yeah,
We hope so.
yes.
We hope
I've
so.
seen CARF,
We've got a lot more work to
Medicare,
do.
a joint, yeah, I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer?
Could Dr. House help move this along and
How so?
by asking him?
I don't know what he could do at this point with the state. I don't think there's anything he can do.
Well, if they're doing an investigation, he's probably pretty good at answering questions because he was on the hospital board for years and years, and he knows that hospital inside and out, and he
Well,
could.
the REH model is different, and there are different policies.
I'm sure, but it's actually simpler than a hospital, isn't it? So I'm certain he could handle that.
Well, hopefully we're about to wrap up the state issues anyway, so we can move on and talk to him about his plan.
Well, I think that Dr. House putting a new face on the thing would help the reputation of the hospital. That's my opinion. He's well respected in the community, and just the fact that he offered is a fantastic thing. Thank you.
All right, anything else from Ms. Martin? Thank you very much.
One more, Rich, I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm sorry. So, from what I've heard from current and former employees, it sounds like probably 90% of the staff at that hospital is now contracted. And I know several of them are because I've spoken with them.
Some of them are. Our ER is, some of them are on contract, but we're trying to hire like the Dr. Jabrina and Elena Mills. Those key positions, those are all hired.
And for instance, like the current lab director, I'm sorry, what is
April
her name?
German.
I'm sorry,
April German.
is she a local or is she contracted?
She's regional, she is contract, she's an expert, but we're in the
So she comes in to do damage control and that's pretty much it, right?
No, she did come in and do damage control because of the, the state audit. But no, she's on a permanent contract. She's on a contract basis with us as an employee that we hope will stay, and she wants to stay.
And is there any, or are there any plans to try to get back to where we actually hire our residents, our locals?
We're addressing that issue because we have had concerns about ESS. We're addressing that issue and looking into a bunch of different alternatives right now.
Okay.
Because that's a concern. We want to do something about that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you
Well-
very much for your time.
While we're on the subject, I want to make a motion to remove Kent Turner from the hospital commission.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Can he bring up a motion at this point?
He can bring up, well, we got, that's on the agenda right below it. Vote
Okay,
on-
I'll second that.
You're going to second that?
What'd you say?
I said, are you going to second his
I
motion?
did, I seconded his motion.
Okay. All right, so we got a motion on the table to remove Kent Turner from the hospital commission. Motion by Mr. Meyer and second by David Avanzino. Any further discussion? Mr. McClung?
Yeah, I want to hear again what your position is on that. I know that, as was stated, that in the previous meeting, when he had said he would resign, and you asked him to stay on, and I recall that plain.
My perception, and I may be wrong, Ms. Gruning has a different memory than I do. I thought he said he'd be willing to resign, and I asked him not to. He's a CPA, and he's helped out with the hospital, and at that time, he also had a good communication with the state. And actually, I still feel that way. I think now that he's not the chairman, I think that puts him in a different position on there. Also, when we remove a commissioner, it's supposed to be for cause. And I'm not sure the cause has been established on here yet.
Should I state a cause?
If you want to state his cause,
He broke federal law by carrying blood products to Berryville.
well, we don't know that. You know that as a rumor and a hearsay. Do you have actually proof of that?
Sandy
I'm not
just
talking to them,
admitted it.
I'm talking to you. Do you have proof of that?
Sandy just admitted it, but they did.
Is that, we don't know if that's, I'm not sure. Ms. Martin?
It was not a HIP violation, didn't break law.
No, did he do it?
He did do one.
Okay.
Is that against the law?
No.
It is against federal law.
Well, we have conflict here.
Well,
And I don't know, I don't think our city attorney's versed in that field.
I was just about to ask if Forrest can look into this before we make a vote on removing him for ourselves. I don't know.
Well, the law says they can be removed for cause. Now, that's rather, unless, and this is in the court of law, we're not having witnesses, we don't have any proof. So if you vote to remove somebody for cause, you need something very specific, in my opinion, to remove them.
So it's not just because.
It also states in the law, for procedures, any commission which believes one of its members should be removed for good cause. And good cause shall include, but not be limited to, repeated failures to attend multiple meetings without good cause, refusal to participate in meetings, repeated disruption of meetings, not meeting minutes, not meeting qualifications of the seat, incapacitation, death of commissioners, a resignation by the commissioner. Now, I'm sure that, violating the law would be part of it, without a doubt, but I'm not sure. It seems like we're at an impasse here.
But it did,
Holyfield?
wasn't in the paper, though, that he violated FOIA regulations by communicating via text to different commissioners?
We've also had a city council member do the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, the subject is Mr. Turner, not a council member.
That's true.
Cost could be as much as we've lost confidence in his services, that would be sufficient.
And I have lost confidence when he stated that he knew nothing about all the problems at the hospital after May. Everything was fine at the hospital in May, and then all of a sudden we find out that it's going down the tubes. I mean,
All right, we have a motion and a second. You good for
Actually,
discussion?
Based on what Forrest said and what you read, I'm going to remove my second. I'll withdraw my second.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Holyfield seconds. Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
So we're hearing that it violates the hospital to transport blood like that. Can we ask somebody to come up and tell us where that violation is actually stated? Because I'm looking here online at the Arkansas Department of Health, but I could be here all night looking. I'm just curious.
I think it's more of a federal HIPAA violation than
So
a
it's
state.
HIPAA?
They also have to have training in transporting blood products.
Well, we seem to have, we're going to get into an argument here from the public and whether it is or it isn't.
Okay. I
I think it's up to the council whether or not there's good cause on there, and that's what y'all's decision is. So, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Is that unanimous? 5-0? All right. Okay. Mr. Turner will be removed from the commission, 5-0. Okay. All right. Our next order of business, we got in your package, you got the Parks fourth quarter report. We also have an HDC position vacant and cemeteries fourth quarter reports in there also. At this time, we'll go ahead and take 3 minutes for public comments. 3 minutes per person, please.
Let me make a comment real quick.
Sure.
I was watching the Cemetery Commission, and they have 3 commissioners getting ready to resign. 2 of them are moving out of town, and 1 is for family medical issues. So we don't have a vacancy listed here. Within the next 3 months, we're going to have 3 vacancies on the Cemetery Commission, which is a huge part of the commission.
So anybody out there is interested on the cemetery commission, please put your name in.
First off, my name is Ferguson Stewart, 7 Harvey Road, and thank you for your confirming me on the commission. I appreciate your trusting me to continue on. What I want to tell you is a story. So I want to it's kind of an interesting story, in that I learned the difference between charity and love here in Eureka Springs. And I thought I knew this. I thought I knew what the definition was, but I learned it on Facebook, of all things. But I was at a meeting at one of my other organizations, and one of my friends said, this gentleman that I'd known for years, that it was a charity case in town, and he was always begging, and I've known him, he's been like that for his whole life. He's got demons that are, anyway, but he said that his family had called and they couldn't reach him. They didn't know where he was. And my church would reach out to him and given him jackets and helped him in cold times so he wouldn't be out in a tent somewhere in the winter. Well, he was missing. So I thought, well, I've got a picture of him, and I put it on Facebook. And 50 some odd people responded. The police station got inundated with calls saying, we know where he is. He's okay. He's fine. Don't worry. So the love of the lowest one of us was so huge that it was amazing to me. And I didn't think, we think about charity. We help our fellow man, but love is a different thing. Love is a big thing. And our town is full of love, people that love each other. So as we go forward tonight, remember, we do love each other. And I want to thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Ken Fogo, 150 North Main Street. I would first like to remind members of council that they recently took an oath to uphold the laws of the state constitution of Arkansas. Text of Article 5, Section 1 of the Arkansas Constitution, referendums as applies to municipalities. Referendum, the second power reserved by the people is the referendum. Any measure referred to the people by referendum petition shall remain in abeyance until such vote is taken. Abeyance, stop it from happening or being used at present. Discontinuation, frozen, inactivity, intermission, waiting, holding, dormancy, limbo, latency, postponement, quiescence, recess, remission, suspension. The Municipal League Attorney states correctly, Ordinance 2357 must be held in abeyance. After an ordinance is approved by the legal majority of council, signed by the mayor, certified by the city clerk, there is a 30-day waiting period before it becomes law by adding it to the city ordinance book. Ordinance 2292, approved by council February 10th, 2020, was correctly held in abeyance by the then city clerk and not entered into the municipal code book after a referendum was circulated and sufficient number of valid signatures declared by the county and then the city clerk. At the next regular general election, as required by state law, held November 3rd, 2020, the ordinance was rejected by a vote of 62% nay. It never became a law, not even temporarily. There has never been any events held in a permanent entertainment district in Eureka Springs. The last minute, twice called meeting, one of them without the city attorney present, to discuss a special election should never have been called. The city attorney was correct. A special election wasn't legal. All this did was create confusion and give a few people the chance to muddy the water, spout their opinions and half-truths. The state constitution, multiple state laws, 3 attorney general opinions, along with the state attorney general's 2024 initiatives and referenda handbook, all state that referenda items must be held in abeyance. Don't break your oath. Don't knowingly break the law.
Hello, folks. Richard Webb here. This is my wife, Samantha, both former employees at Eureka Springs Hospital. So the first article about all the corrupt and unlawful actions by certain people who have been named numerous times came out on November 6, 2024. There have been numerous others published from 2 local papers since then. Now we are in January 27th, 2025, and nothing has been done. At this point, we all know where your loyalties lie, and it's not with the former and current victims of this mess. My wife was escorted out of that hospital like a common criminal after being wrongfully terminated by CFO Cynthia Asbury and HR Director and now acting CEO Jody Edmondson. She had her job taken and her name and work record defamed and tarnished for doing absolutely nothing wrong. The rich part is the people who removed her from her position for violating rules and laws were actually the ones violating the same rules and laws they accused her of breaking. What a joke. At this point, it's no longer just about keeping the hospital open, which I hope we can. It's about accountability of all of you. I'm sure that nowhere in your oath it says it's okay to openly know that laws have been and still are being violated and still allow it to continue and do nothing. These actions, or should I say non-actions, call into question if not your authority, certainly your integrity as city leaders. Wrongs need to be righted. In closing, let me say this. Recently, the new chair of the Hospital Commission said, "We have the best caliber of people that we have ever had in charge of the hospital operations," and praised Cynthia and Jody. Well, we have Kent Turner, who has violated numerous rules and laws, Cynthia Asbury that's violated numerous rules and laws, and Jody Edmondson that has violated numerous rules and laws, and it's all a matter of public record. Let me just say this to Ms. Martin, the new Hospital Commission chair. If these people are the highest caliber people you can come up with, you're in very sad shape. Thank you.
I am Tina Adams, a former employee of ESH, and again, I am here because of the bullying and intimidation that continue at ESH, which is why there has been more staff getting fired and leaving. And I just wanted to make a comment on what Sandy had mentioned. She said that they are working internally to fix the workplace violence. If this is what they are doing, like they did when Cynthia confronted Lisa, the dietary director, and she was doing this the entire time she was talking to Lisa, and it got swept under the rug, they've got work to do. Also, she mentioned that people quit because of Cerner. That's not why people quit. We didn't quit because of the REH designation. We didn't quit because of Cerner or any of those changes. We quit because of the bullying, the intimidation, the harassment. I received my bachelor's in criminal justice, and I want to say everything that is not happening is because of power, and it is unethical, illegal, and just ungodly. Mr. Mayor, I am asking for you to resign from your position of power, since it appears that you no longer care how your city leaders operate and the legality of their actions. You have shown by your actions that you will defend and back the commissioners and hospital leaders that do not follow the violence in the workplace policy and the law. I am asking for the dismissal of Cynthia Asbury, Jody Edmondson, Lana, Kent Turner, and any other official that believes they are above the law. This includes you, Mr. Mayor, since you are and have allowed this to happen. Thank you for your time, and I give any other additional time.
Good evening. I'm Liz Collins. I'm a former compliance officer at Eureka Springs Hospital, and I was originally going to give you a lot of facts. But the fact is, you have listened, and you picked up on how many employees left, and as I've stated in my letter, they left. They weren't terminated. I was terminated. They left on their own accord. And a lot of that was due to the bullying, not a lot of it, that was due to the bullying and toxic environment that they were subjected to.
Can you speak into the microphone so we can hear you better?
I'm sorry.
You have a soft voice.
My kids wouldn't say that. But the other fact, I know there's some concern and for cause for dismissing Mr. Turner, but as Richard mentioned, there were several FOIA violations by text, but also it was the ongoing biweekly finance and IT meetings. So they were in the hospital every week, and they could have time alone with Cynthia prior to anybody else joining them. And I want to say thank you, because we have spoken to you 3 times, written letters, and spoken individually about the toxic and hostile environment, because that's what triggered this. And I was going to say the fact is that it was time for you to take action now, but I thank you for what you have done. It's a first step. And Mr. McClung, our building, the building is old. It's a 1929 on one side and a 1965 on the other side, but we all loved it, and we were patching her up and trying to make it the best that we could. There are some fine people who have been treated poorly, and I know you've heard some of the effects that this has had on them. So again, I just want to thank you for taking action, because you were our only hope. Thank you. Bye.
The school was built the same year as the auditorium.
Good evening. My name is Becky Burt. I was a trusted employee of the hospital for 15 plus years. I was fired for what I believe to be retaliation. I met with former employee Joy Kennedy in the front parking lot of the hospital to give her her notebook she had forgotten when she left. Jody, our CEO, was aware of the notebook. In fact, she had actually looked through it. Later, I was summoned to Lana's office. Jody and Lana asked me about a secret meeting in the parking lot. I told them it wasn't a secret meeting and explained it to them. They then wanted to know what was said and what was in the notebook. I don't know what was in it. It wasn't mine to look at. Also, if I wanted a secret meeting, I wouldn't meet in a parking lot where there's cameras. That would just be plain stupid. Why are they so paranoid? I don't understand that. After the meeting with Lana and Jody, I couldn't access my computer. I called and asked Jody about it, to which she said IT was probably updating it. What IT company updates one computer at a time when we have a lot and during regular office hours? Doesn't make sense. Were they instructed to look at something for Jody to use against me? It makes me wonder. The next day, Friday the 17th, I still couldn't access my computer. I was summoned upstairs once again and suspended without pay for 3 days for a supposed HIPAA breach on my computer and failure to do my job. I had no access to any HIPAA patient information on my computer. Didn't even have those programs. So how is that possible? Also, since I no longer had access to my computer, I could not show them email communications to prove I was working on the things that I was accused of not accomplishing or not doing. I refused to sign the suspension paper or write a plan of correction, as that is a sign of guilt. I was then fired on Thursday, January 23rd, for something not related to the suspension at all. When Jody and Lana fired me, I told them I was going to collect my pictures throughout the hospital. I was told I couldn't go upstairs to get them. They would have someone get them for me. When I said I was going to gather my personal stuff from my desk and office, I was told I couldn't, not once, but twice. I stated there were personal things I had a right to, and I got them. And Jody stood there and watched. Okay. One more comment. Washington, D.C. is not the only place that has a swamp. Eureka Springs Hospital and the Commission have their own swamp that is getting boggier by the day.
Hi, it's Charlotte Bunyer, 257 Curtis Road. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate.
Charlotte, can you just put
Yeah.
the mic? There you go. Thank you.
Really appreciate all of you listening to us. It means a lot. We don't want the hospital closed either, at all. No part of us, none of us here want that to happen. So, a couple things that I was going to say. First, I do know that I think Sandy's mistaken about who's travel employees and who's hired on. It's the lab director, respiratory therapy, I believe their contract also. We think it's great there's money in the bank for the hospital too. That's not why we're here. We're here because of the way things are being handled, and I think you all know that by now. Let me take a second here, just kind of gather what I was going to say. Okay, so with the HIPAA violations, we've talked about that. You guys have heard all about that. It's still, there's some issues with the video surveillance in the hospitals that shows into the ER lobby. And I do know that Cynthia, the accountant of the hospital, has access to those. There are employees there that talk to me. There's travel nurses there who are great nurses, but travel nurses aren't loyal to bricks and mortar, especially, unlike what you would find in your community of us nurses and healthcare professionals. So I have a real hard time with the CFO being able to access audio and visual surveillance into the ER lobby where a patient comes in, says their name and what they're at the hospital for. This is a small town. I wouldn't want to go to the hospital here and tell, anybody my name and why I'm there if I knew that somebody was listening could hear. And we know from the past that Barbara's had access to this audio-visual surveillance. It's a big problem. Also, I've been told Cynthia is telling physicians to look at WikiHow to learn how to chart on these new systems. And also, us nurses and healthcare professionals, we've used Pyxis. People weren't leaving because of a new Cerner or Pyxis or Epic or whatever it's called. I've been a nurse for 17 years. We've been using electronic health records forever. All of us that were there when the REH conversion happened, we were excited about it. We were happy about it. That's not why we left. Okay. Oh, man. I wish we had a little bit more time. Thank you.
I'm Alan Smith, Western Carroll County. I stand here again to speak of my and our community's grave concerns for the future of the Eureka Springs Hospital. I believe that when employees of the hospital, numerous and from every department, from every level, with decades of experience, from top to bottom, tell you there is a problem with the CEO, the CFO, as well as the commission itself, you can take it as a fact that there really, truly is a huge problem. The commission and management have done a terrible job. What to do? At the last meeting of the City Council, Mayor Berry interceded on the asked for and given resignation of then Chair Kent Turner on the basis that there is an impartial investigation underway by legal counsel regarding allegations of mismanagement, abuse, retaliation, intimidation. There is, at this point, no indication of this happening at all. The lawyer retained for this announced he wanted to pivot his role to address the citations from the health department. The employees are entitled to recourse. Management has not held hearings, offered hotlines, has no open door policy, or no third-party platform to ensure fairness. They even removed the suggestion box. The Commission has reacted in the same exact manner: silence. Appearing before Council is maybe their only opportunity to be heard, and a 3-minute speech is mighty sparse. My research of Arkansas law indicates that here tonight, the councilperson can move to invite some of these employees to speak and be asked questions at length by council to amplify the situation. And I think it would be a good idea. Several council have expressed frustration about not getting enough information from credible sources, and the Commission reports from past chair leave the credibility of their info in doubt. This could bring some balance to the view of the council in guiding their actions. And Sandy's report tonight smacks of some of the same deficiencies as Kent's last report. I also refer to last week's paper where Dr. House reiterated his willingness and readiness to a transition to new management. I would, and I believe the medical community and community at large would view this favorably. Put a doctor in charge. Thank you.
Oh boy, my commissioner colleagues make my blood pressure go up. First of all, let's do the right thing. For the employees who have been retaliated against, bullied, and worked in hostility, I'm apologizing to you on behalf of the hospital and the commissioners who failed to even do the right thing. Are we afraid? And would we like to be admitted and seen if the hospital was the only one left right now? Would we not want the best and most ethical, integrity, character individuals present in our time of dire need? We're not staffed if commissioners are transporting blood and you just fired your only Buller certified individual qualified to work in a Buller system, which is a state law. Excuses and lies are not good because they prevent personal responsibility by deflecting blame, hindering growth, damaging trust, ultimately stopping us from addressing the root cause of a problem, often leading to stagnation and missed opportunities to improve. If we are too afraid to hold a commission accountable, then why did we take an oath? Other commissions seem not to get by with violating ethics and laws, especially FOIA. There's a good reason why someone needs to be put forth as resigning. I would say that it is painstaking watching leaders not give a care about upholding all laws, especially health care, a serious one. Medicine should be viewed as social justice work in a world that is so sick and riven by inequities. I'm afraid there needs to be a call for the financial audit, for a financial ledger to be looked over, explanation of the survey. And then what about the employees who were wrongfully treated and supposedly investigated? That's a root cause right there. We're not even looking at that. The city wants to know, what is the hospital doing about an environmental engagement survey with the employees that left or those working there? This is also a topic being hidden, as well as why are Jody and Cynthia being kept there? If someone was added to the commission at this point on the outside, they can get answers to that. the community could understand, and that person could generically respond to help the community feel better. So help me understand why my application wasn't added for consideration this evening. Probably because I'm very present in a call for justification, holding others accountable, and know what is humanely right. Commissioners need to question leaders and each other as they have an obligation to review their performance annually. That is in their bylaws, the Hospital Commission. Do they measure up? With rare exceptions, partnership has been labeled achievements on this planet, but you don't have a partnership at a hospital. You have chaos. I am going to speak this last because in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, he said of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane.
I don't know if I want to follow that. So I'm going to talk about something slightly different for a second. Yeah, my name is Colton Scrivener, live at 38 Vaughn Street. So I came up here today to introduce myself to a few of you that I don't know because I recently applied for the vacant Ward 1 position on City Council. And I've lived in Eureka for a couple of years now and very quickly became invested in the town and in various aspects of the town. And I've learned quite a bit about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities that I believe Eureka faces over the coming years. For example, I'm an owner of one of the Victorian bed and breakfasts downtown, and through that I've learned the delicate balancing act between preserving the historic nature of our town on the one hand and ensuring that it meets the needs of a modern tourist on the other hand. And I see that as kind of a microcosm of some challenges that Eureka faces more broadly. I also hear from guests over the past several years about things that surprised them about Eureka, things they enjoyed and exceeded their expectations, and things that they wish they had seen or things that they wish we had. I also organized a few events here in town. One of them that many of you are probably familiar with is the Eureka Springs Zombie Crawl. And through that, as you can imagine, you learn quite a bit about some of the quirks, the logistical quirks of having large events in town, having thousands of people here for a day and trying to minimize adverse effects while still ensuring that everyone has a good time. You also learn a lot about how to creatively overcome some of the challenges that Eureka seems to face. Outside of my work here in Eureka, I also hold a PhD from the University of Chicago, and I've worked as a user researcher for one of the world's largest tech companies. And through that, I've learned how to approach very complex problems, like the one that is kind of taking center stage here tonight and has been for the last several weeks, with an analytical mindset, but while still keeping the people who that problem affects at the center of the decision making. So I'm eager to bring the skills and knowledge that I have to serve the City Council and serve our community. So thank you for considering my application.
My name is Karen Lindblad. I live at 17 Bond Street. I've lived in Eureka Springs, except for maybe 5 years, since 1970. As citizens are expected to follow laws, so are the City Council members. The oath you took said that you would uphold the Arkansas Constitution and all other laws all the way down to the municipal level. If you allow Ordinance 2357 to go into effect, you will be breaking the law. Everything from the Arkansas Constitution to the municipal law level, including the Attorney General Winston Bryant's opinion number 97-361, and I quote, "A referendum petition holds in abeyance a local ordinance if the ordinance is not an emergency measure. This is in accordance with Amendment 7 of the Arkansas Constitution, which provides that any referendum petition that shall remain in abeyance until such vote is taken confirms this." And that means that if you don't hold the entertainment district ordinance in abeyance until the vote, you are going to be breaking the law. In 2020, ordinance number 2292 established a permanent entertainment district on Spring Street, was correctly held in abeyance until the next regular election on November 3rd, 2020, and was voted down by the citizens. Vote to hold ordinance 2357 in abeyance, or you will be breaking not only your oath to uphold the laws of Arkansas and the Constitution, you will be knowingly and purposely breaking the law. The citizens of Eureka Springs don't expect this of you. You know, you can't just decide, oh, well, I think I'll just follow this Arkansas law, but I don't think I'll follow the others. And it's very clear, and it is all over the place, and we don't even have enough time for me to quote you the number of places that it says that this should be held in abeyance. And if you don't do it, you're not only spitting in the face of the 160 people that signed the referendum petition, but you're also doing it for all the people that didn't get to sign it. And if you don't follow the law, then why should we bother with any ordinances that you pass? And if you don't follow the law, you are criminals, just like any ordinary citizen here would be. So I say you better put that ordinance in abeyance.
All right, is there any other public comments before we close?
I'm vertically challenged. Hey, I'm Janice Coletti, and I've been coming out here since about 2021, and I recently am about to move into the house on 25 Kings Highway, and I applied for the open city council position. Since I've been coming out here, just really have a passion for the community and really engrossed in what's going on out here and would like to get more involved and see where I can help. My background is engineering. I work for the largest retailer in the world. I do tech, software, hardware, business. I do a lot of volunteer work. I've gotten to speak to some of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions or, you know, anything I can do to be part of the family. That's all. Thanks.
All right, I think that concludes our public comments for this evening. We will continue on with our unfinished business. Get a motion to discuss the sewer updates.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. Mr. Simon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So what I have for update is big news. The Arkansas Natural Resource Commission has approved our request for funding for the wastewater sewer plant upgrades. So total of $6.28 million bond. I don't think we received the money yet, but it's coming. I have ordered the aeration mixing and decanter for the sludge basin, so it should be here in about a month. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had a little issue with our jetter trailer. It went down. We had a motor that went out on it, but it's been replaced by the dealership. They came out and replaced it, so it's back in operation. But Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to report on today. I'll stand for any questions.
All my toilets are flushing.
Mr. McClung?
I don't know if it's sewer or water or if it's our deal at all, but as I was coming down by the Comfort Inn, they're digging up big time there. What's that? Is that a water line, sewer line? That was not a city truck.
No, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's probably a fiber optic or gas line that they're working on over there, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's right there on the highway.
Yeah, those permits go through RDOT. They don't come through my office, so I don't really have any idea who's working out there. I could check into it and let you know.
I just figured you'd know. I mean, they'd do a one call, I would think, and before they...
They do. I get a lot of one calls. I can't remember everything.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty prominent dig there. I just thought maybe you'd know.
Mm-hmm.
Guess not.
Any other questions, Mr. Hollifield?
Can you remind us that 6.28 million, is that a grant, a loan, or what?
The 6.28 million is a bond, so we'll have to make payments on that.
It's actually a loan.
Yeah, basically a loan.
It's a low-interest loan.
Now, from my understanding with the Arkansas Natural Resource Commission, with the bonds that we get through them, when grants do come up, they'll apply it towards those loans first. So hopefully it'll turn more into a grant situation, but there's no promise to that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Kind of segues right into our water leak remediation. Oh, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Yeah. How did we do over the cold spell?
As far as the sewer goes, we did okay.
I always do that, don't I? I jump ahead, sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't hear the question.
She asked how we did during the cold spell.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's kind of both this water and sewer, yeah.
You want to move on to the water part?
Yeah.
Okay. So for the water updates, we did do all right. We did have a few breaks that happened, but so far I've got wrote down 6 water leaks that we've repaired since the last council meeting. And then I also had a meeting with the state not long ago about water loss. So I did want to report to council what our water loss situation looks like today. So in 2022, when I took over the Public Works Department, during that year of 2022, we ran at 59.1% water loss. 2023, we were at 55% for the entire year. In 2024, we're at 41.4%. So we're making a lot of headway as far as the water loss goes. To get that to zero is virtually impossible, but I'm pretty happy with the 41% loss. Holiday Island, I don't mean to throw another city under the bus, but they're, 75% water loss, so I think we're doing pretty good.
Right.
Did you say, though, the first one was 9%?
59, 59.
Okay.
59, 55, and then 41.
Okay. That's good.
Simon, how do you, with this last freeze coming, or that just passed us, and all the businesses and people having to drip their faucets and all this kind of stuff, how do you measure, you mentioned water loss, how do you measure that as opposed to something where the entire city is dripping their faucets because of a potential freeze?
So when you drip your faucet, it goes to the meter, so we're accounting for that water. So the water loss that we're talking about is water loss from leaks, from leaching out, water that doesn't go through the meter itself. Our meters are very sensitive, and they detect that drip. So that doesn't play into account as far as that water loss goes.
Yeah, a leaky toilet can cost you $100 a month.
Easily, yes.
All right, anybody else? I guess also, that goes into our next item, the financing and on the sewer plant. That's part of that low-income loan that we got. And Simon's correct. My understanding, according to the engineers, is a lot of times once you get that loan later on with the grants, they sometimes come back and forgive part of the loan as part of the grant. But it remains to be seen if that's going to work.
And we are working to get the grants.
We are what?
We are working to get the grants.
Yes.
Are you going to be able to start cleaning out the SBRs then?
We will here pretty soon, hopefully. So we've got to wait on the funding to come through. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to tackle the SBRs just yet. My number one thing that I want to accomplish is getting the grit and trash removal system installed. Once that's installed, then we could go after the SBRs themselves, but there's no point in cleaning them out with trash just going right back in.
That's right, yeah.
Any other questions?
I think we kind of mentioned it earlier, and I talked to Zane. I think we're hopefully in a month, we're looking at maybe having a workshop before the meeting to discuss the final, well, not the final, but at least the design update on the sewer plant. In that time, he'll probably be able to come up with more information for all of us. But so we'll probably schedule that, an hour beforehand, for the, depending on if they can get everything done at that time. And maybe at that time too, we'll have some more update too on our water rate studies. So
Yes.
I'm not sure on that. We're getting pretty close, I know, on the water rate studies.
We're getting pretty close. Last time I met with the rate adjuster, and like Michael said earlier during the meeting, it looks like towards the end of February. It doesn't look like we're going to have any potential increases till this summertime. So we're sitting pretty good with that 25% increase that we just did, according to the numbers that I've seen anyway. So.
Anybody got any questions on water and sewer?
Yep, I'm good.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. All right, that brings us up to get a motion to discuss the revocation of the legal nonconforming on 5 Ridgeway.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. I don't think Paul's here. Is he?
got his
Our building
letter.
inspector? I need to bring him in here and introduce him to you. In your packet, Paul wrote a letter. Draxie Rogers, who has 5 Ridgeway, has been in the hospital down in Little Rock with blood pressure, and she's, I guess elderly is the best word for it. Anyway, what Paul has recommended, because of her health and everything, is that we grant Draxie Rogers a 90-day extension for her C of O and the fire marshal for the B&B, with the stipulation that during this time frame that Ms. Rogers would not be allowed to have any guests in the residence until the required certificate of occupancy is approved, which seems like a reasonable idea until she's better. Mr. McClung?
Yeah, based on the building inspector's recommendation, I make a motion that we approve that request and give the extension.
Second.
Okay. So Mr. McClung made the motion, and
Either one of us.
Ms. Greening seconded to give Draxie a 90-day extension, and I'd say basically from today, for completion of her C of O. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will let fire marshal and building inspector and Draxie know about that. So, all right, that brings us up to the ordinance amending the municipal code on peddlers and solicitors. So we are on our second reading.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Okay. Mr. McClung?
We are on the second reading, is
We
that
are on the
correct?
second
Okay,
reading.
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 2368 for second reading by title only.
Second.
Okay, was that you, Ms. Myers?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. McClung made the motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 2368 on second reading. Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Susan Gurney,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Harry Meyer,
Yes.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
Steve Holofield.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2368, an ordinance amending Eureka Springs Municipal Code, Chapter 4.48, peddlers and solicitors.
Mr. McClung?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2368 on its second reading.
Second.
Mr. McClung made the motion to approve ordinance 2368 on second reading. Mr. Myers seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
Susan Gerning,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Harry Meyer.
Yeah.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 2368 on its third and final reading by title only.
Second.
Mr. McClung made the motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 2368 on third and final reading. Mr. Myers seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Harry Meyer,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Susan Gerning,
Yes.
Terry McClung.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2368, an ordinance amending Eureka Springs Municipal Code, Chapter 4.48, peddlers and solicitors.
Mr. McClung?
Make a motion we approve ordinance number 2368 on its third and final reading.
Second.
Mr. McClung made the motion to approve ordinance 2368 on third and final reading. Mr. Myers seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none?
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Harry Meyer,
Yes.
Susan Gerning,
Yes.
Terry McClung.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, that brings us up to our new business resolution to approve the 2025 budget.
Motion to discuss.
Second. All right. We've gone through the budget hearings. In the last council meeting, we also went through final discussion of the budget, and this is our resolution approving that budget for this year. Any discussion? Take a motion to read.
I
for
move
approval.
that we approve the resolution for the 2025 budget.
Second.
All right, Mr.
Second.
Myers made a motion to basically assign this a number and read for passage, and Ms. Greening seconded. Any further discussion?
Forgot the number.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
Harry Meyer,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Susan Gerning.
Yes.
Assigning resolution number 879, a resolution providing for and adopting budgets for the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025, appropriating money for each and every item of expenditures therein provided for. Whereas the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas has made a comprehensive study and review of proposed budgets, and whereas in the opinion of the City Council, the proposed 2025 budget presents as accurately possible the city's anticipated revenues and expenditures for the 2025 calendar year. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Section 1, this resolution shall be known as the Budget Resolution for the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas for the 12-month period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. And the attached 2025 budget documents reflect estimated revenues and expenditures in detail for the period. All revenues and appropriations are based on estimated revenues, and all estimates are subject to change during the budgetary period. Section 2, amounts for revenue and expenditures proposed in the 2025 municipal budget are hereby authorized and appropriated for the purpose set forth the calendar year ending December 31st, 2025. Estimated revenues, non-departmental, $10,000, general fund, $5,931,600, street fund, $1,086,000, lot feet, $480,850, capital fund, $369,500, debt service, $305,500, administration of justice, $89,700, district court automation, $8,925, fireman's pension fund, $101,340, Water and Sewer Fund, $2,508,200. Transit Fund, $1,971,552. Estimated expenditures. General Fund, $5,905,521. Street Fund, $988,800. Lot Fee, $463,100. Capital Fund, $369,500. Debt Service, $305,500. Administration of Justice, $89,680. District Court Automation, $8,800. Fireman's Pension Fund, $101,000. Water and Sewer Fund, $2,394,740. Transit Fund, $1,967,205.
Thank you, guys. All right, that brings us up to a resolution for a temporary entertainment district for Mardi Gras. Motion to discuss.
So moved.
Second.
All right. I think we have, Mr. McClung, you want to make?
I think that the location is pretty similar to what they did for the for New Year's. I think it's expanded a little bit further, though. It goes all the way to Chelsea. Is it the same map? It's the same, so it includes up Spring Street and down Mountain to Chelsea's and back down to Main Street there, or no?
Damon Hinkie here. The difference will be we don't have Eureka Live, so none of the Main Street. There's not crosswalks on Main Street, so we generally try to avoid that. But because of New Year's, we tried to include it because, anyway, this one does not have any Main Street outside of the Sky Bridge, so it doesn't go on down and go up the staircase. Other than that, it's the same. So from Chelsea's, which is Pendergrass Corner, all the way to the courthouse. We try to catch the odd because it has the bathrooms, and this puts the most crosswalks in the district.
And it does go across the street here to the...
Yeah, ends at the courthouse.
Right.
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we assign this resolution to number.
Second.
Read it for passage.
All right. Second. Mr. McClung made the motion to assign the number and read for passage, and Ms. Gruning seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none?
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Susan Gruning,
Yes.
Harry Meyer.
Yes.
Assigning resolution number 880, a resolution to authorize a temporary entertainment district and establishing standards for its operation for Mardi Gras, March 1st, 2025. Whereas prior ordinances of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas allow the creation and governance of temporary entertainment districts. Whereas application has been made for a temporary entertainment district to be granted, and whereas the mayor and required department heads of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas have reviewed the application, found it appropriate to forward for city council consideration, and whereas the city council of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas has made a comprehensive study of the application and its request. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, section 1. Purpose and intent. The purpose of the entertainment district is to promote hospitality and tourism within the city and to highlight restaurant, nightlife, entertainment, and hospitality options for tourists. Section 2, location. The temporary entertainment district shall be located from Main Street, starting at south edge of Courthouse, continuing up Main to Spring Street, and up Spring Street to Pendergrass Corner, down the steps, ending at the public restrooms. Note the upper part of the rainbow staircase is included, the skywalk over Main, and the Basin Spring building. Section 3, dates and times hereby permitted, Saturday, March 1st, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Section 4, identification of participants. Those persons who wish to possess or consume from an open alcoholic beverage container within the district or enter the district from an alcohol beverage permitted establishment with an open container shall first obtain a wristband, and beverages will be served in pre-packaged cans. Section 4, permitted sound. Live amplified sound, including music, shall be permitted under the following restrictions. Music can only be performed or played from the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Stage or broadcast area shall be located within the fenced area. Sound produced shall not exceed 85 decibels. Section 6, applicable state and local laws. All laws and ordinances not addressed herein shall remain in full force and effect. Section 7, removal of alcoholic beverage from the district by participants. It shall be unlawful for any person to remove an open alcoholic beverage container from any entertainment district. All unfinished quantities of alcoholic beverage must be properly disposed of prior to the participants leaving the temporary entertainment district. Section 8, Police and Fire Authority. Nothing in this resolution prevents the Chief of the Eureka Springs Police Department or the Chief of the Eureka Springs Fire Department from suspending the operation hours of any entertainment district, if necessary, to comply with local, state, or federal law or fire codes, or if necessary, to protect the public health, safety, and welfare.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that brings us up to item number 3 is applications for city council vacancies for seat in Ward 1, Position 1. The applications for Colton Scrivener, and please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Janice Coletti, Raquel Moyer, and Terry Wolfenbarger are the 4 applications that we've received that are in your packet. If you'll review those, you want to talk to the applicants, please do so. And at the next council meeting, we will, at that time, go ahead and hold a vote to select a new council member on here. So, any questions?
Since we've got so many, is that
Ranked choice voting.
ranked choice voting would probably be the best way, or we're going
I imagine the one who gets the most votes wins. Yeah.
to, well, yeah.
I'll prepare the ballots.
Yeah. All right, that brings us up to third and fourth quarter 2023 financial summary.
Motion to
Get a motion to discuss here?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
So I apologize, I didn't get the third quarter. I completely slipped my mind. I got the commissions, but didn't get mine out. So you have your third and fourth quarter financial summary. You'll notice most of what you receive is something that you get in your monthly budgetary packets. And then I also included for you a quarterly financial comparative chart. So basically what accounts payable, payroll, cash receipts, how they fluctuated quarter by quarter in both 2023 and 2024. And that's all I got.
Looks like a good summary to me.
All right. That brings us up to our final item discussion is motion to discuss the tree ordinance.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right.
Yeah, guys, I just wanted to bring this up because we spent a lot of time on the tree ordinance, and of course there are going to be things that we miss or didn't think about to take into account. And we have a property in town that had put in a request to remove a tree. And this tree is, let me get to the notes here, sorry. The root system of the tree is under the road. And the tree has already started to lean. It's buckling up the road. And when this tree falls, it's not an if, it's a when, it will damage the house that's right there. And planning denied the application for them to cut this tree down at the suggestion of a certified arborist, which they were very heavy on. We do have a certified arborist in town. He's been doing it for decades. He knows what he's talking about. His request was denied, and the way the ordinance is currently written, it dead ends there unless the property owner wants to take them to court. It doesn't come to city council for appeal. So what I'm asking is for us to revisit that ordinance so that things like this that are denied can come to appeal by the city council, just like almost every other commission.
Mr. McClung?
Is that okay?
I don't know. Mr. City Attorney? Right now, it says that the appeals of the tree cutting ordinance, because it falls under BOZA, goes to court.
No, the correct procedure should be just appeal it to the city council. If you lose it at the city council, then you can do it.
That's the next step.
But there's no point in going to court
I agree.
on BOZA. So if they feel aggrieved, then I suggest that they appeal it to the city council.
I think the question is, I guess we need to change it from being under BOZA, Board of Zoning Adjustment,
Yeah.
planning or something.
Yeah, well, the Planning Commission acts as BOZA, and sometimes the two terms and duties get commingled. So if we need to clarify the ordinances, we'll do so.
Mr. McClung?
I make a motion that we have the city attorney clarify the ordinance so we can run it directly to city council.
Second.
All right. So if I understand the motion correctly, the city attorney is going to look at the tree ordinance and come up with solutions, revision of the ordinance for tree cutting removal appeals.
Appeals, yeah.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Any opposed? All right. Well, that will be on our next agenda, so we don't need to worry about that. Anybody else have anything? All right. Mr. McClung, you want to start off with city council comments?
I had an inquiry from one of the parks employees about the diving platform at Lake Leatherwood, about the possibility of getting the diving board replaced there. It was taken out years ago, and I don't know if that's something we can do. I'm sure that there's, I think that's why most of the motels pull their diving boards out, is because of the liability.
Probably.
But I just thought it might be something we could check into for them to, if it could be reinstated, I think it'd be great, but.
Did they approach the Parks Commission?
I think she did, and they didn't know where they stood with it. I'm not positive of that, but I think so.
That's where I'd suggest that they do.
I'd say let's refer it to the city attorney and find out if the city might get sued if somebody dives off there and sticks their head in the mud.
So, I mean, it's just something I thought you might look into. It's not an agenda item, so unless you want to put on as one, and I don't think it needs to be.
I think that's Parks Commission.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Mr. Meyer?
I'm glad things thought out. That's all I got to say.
You're glad what?
Things thought out.
Mr. Avanzino?
Just want to say thanks again to all of our public servants that are out there, all those people that serve on commissions, those from the hospital staff, past and present, that have gotten up and spoken. We do hear you. We do listen. Unfortunately, sometimes our hands are tied, but that doesn't mean we won't fight for you. And other than that, I'm going to go home and take a pain pill.
Mr. Holyfield?
CAPC workshop this Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and a CAPC regular meeting at 6 o'clock the following. And yeah, be glad to be thought out too. That's it.
Ms. Gurney?
I wanted to say kudos to Simon and his crew. I know we didn't have a hard, long freeze, thank goodness, but to capture what we did and then to have the waterless rate come down, especially here when we have such an issue with our sewer and water right now. And then, and hopefully the weather stays mild. I don't know if it'll get warm, but at least mild. I still have some concerns with the hospital. I know we made a big step today. We'll see how that plays out with the feedback that comes back. And then, and especially because we're going to have a busy month with Mardi Gras and tourism's going to pick up again. So I did go to Municipal League and realized how much I didn't know. I think that's about it.
All right. Well, I want to thank the public for coming in and sharing their comments tonight again on the hospital commission. And I'm glad, seeing the city council did take some action. As far as comments go, we don't have much going on this month. First thing we've got is Mardi Gras. And I guess February the 1st, we got the Taste of Mardi Gras coming up Saturday from 1 to 3 at the Eureka Springs Community Center up on Kings Highway. And you can find the pricing and ticketing information at tastemardigras.eventbrite.com. So other than that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, guys.